Hi, it's Sunday, October 25th, 2020. This is Mr. Shelton. I'm here to do a kind of quick demo on the foreshortening drawing. It's actually take two. On the last one, see, I already have these blocking lines down. The last one, I tried to adjust the shade, knocked the screen out the window. You know, I'm on the second floor. That went flying down and couldn't adjust. Anyway, King was going crazy. The whole operation was amok. So here we are again. So if you go in Schoology, those of you who are not part of my class and just come here for drawing lessons, you're going to have to find your own samples. This is one of the samples I drew from the internet. Foreshortening, you know, if you're doing your own, this is good. Legs, knees coming towards you. I had in my other models, I had the hands on the knees, but this is just as good. So the hands are coming out and the elbow's broken. This gives you everything you need to really show good foreshortening. Your final, try to find a live model if you can. It'll pose for 25 minutes. We can do all the adjusting in class and all the cleaning up. If you can't do that, get a picture of somebody that'll pose for you. If you can't do that, you know, get something off the internet. But that's always like the less exciting way to do it. It's always fun, more exciting, and I think it's a more beneficial experience to work from a live person. And try to get the shoes in. I know this one didn't, so I'm going to pretend we see the shoes. So anyway, I'm going to get this out of the way so you can see my drawing. So if you can possibly split screens, download this one. The one on Schoology is oversized. It's going to look huge, so you have to download it from Schoology and open it on your desktop. That's what I did here, and you get this size. So if you can somehow split the screen between me and that person, or some other way, look at both of them if you have a phone and another one. That way I can free this up. Once in a while I will pull it back to points and something out. But just as we usually do, I'm going to be using a 2B or maybe even a 4B. We'll see how it shows up so you can see. You will be doing this in HB because I don't want you to really be able to see almost any of this. It should be so light. All these earlier layers are light, so they become the life underneath. The music behind this is by the Red Garland Quintet. That's Red Garland, who played piano with the first great Miles Davis quintet. Remember, we one of these other tutorials, I had the second great quintet playing. And on saxophone, alto sax here, is the great John Coltrane, also played with Miles Davis in that quintet. Anyway, here we go. So I wanted to fit nicely on the page. Obviously, if we were doing some fine art here, I'd want to mess with the composition. I want to move them around. But for our exercise right here, we're going to put them pretty much in the middle, which is boring, but can teach our lesson to us. So I don't want him to be like dinky and a little bit in the page. Remember, that's part of your blocking in grade. And I don't want him to go off the page, so I'm going to say right now, the ankles go to here. Notice I didn't say feet, I said ankles, because sometimes the toes hang over and go weird places. So ankles are going to go here, and I think the ankles are where this cuts off anyway. So the feet, I imagine, will come under that line, right? And top of the head here, got that. So like before, I think a good place to start is the head, you know? And let me take a guess. All right, first I'm gonna measure. I'm gonna look at this and pretend he's a person and he's staying far away, and my arm is locked, and I'm looking at this model, and I measure a head and how many heads go all the way up and down. Now, the difficult part with foreshortening, one thing right away we notice is we tend to want to lean into the model, but this is easier because it's flat. So I always say if it is a model, pretend there's a glass wall. In other words, a window in front of them. So when we measure, we're hitting something hard. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just about 5. See, we're not, depth means nothing now. We flatten it out. So I get 5 heads. So remember, don't make a big dopey circle. Think rectangle, think oval. So let's see, 5 head to feet. This is much bigger than that one, so I'm gonna go about that big. Let's see if I'm right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, maybe a tad less here, right about there. I think I got it good. Okay, so that's done. And head's proportioned a little wide. I don't have to be exact. I want to be pretty close. Remember, I'm scribbling a lot so you can see. You should be going light and loose, not that many lines if you can help it. I'm going to erase sometimes because it's dark and it gets crazy. You should be going so light that you never have to erase, because at the end, we just pick and choose what lines we want to come out, right? But you need to see what I'm doing. Okay, so what would be our next thing to do? I think I can find the shoulders next. So I look at my real guy and I measure sideways like this. I'm just thinking, how many heads straight across? And this is just like you did before. How many shoulders? There's the head. So we go back here. 1, And like most people, just around two. So that means I split them in half. So 2 heads make a shoulder. So what does that mean? It means I split the head in half. That means I have 1 head on this half. Get that size, 1 head on this half. Now, how high or low are those? Let's look at him. Everybody's a little different there. His shoulders are kind of, well, they're low in the chair. He has a neck, but it's a collar, probably about that big. The neck, that one, the neck actually goes up to mouth length. So the neck's probably about down to here. So his shoulders, yeah, I'd say go about there. What we don't want to start doing are connecting the dots. We're not connecting the dots. I'm going to draw little circles for the shoulders here. They give you something to build off. Think of like a rotator cuffs, right? Think of that right there for the shoulders. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to figure out where the ankles are. So as usual, just like last time, I'm going to use the shoulders to find the ankles, I'm going to say. Or the heels. Let's say the heels. Ankles, same thing. Okay. I look at this. Does it go straight down? Boom. Pretty much, the heel is on the inside of where the arm is. This side, this one, the heel, a little closer in, but both of them pretty much, you go down to, and we've already picked out how far down we want to go. And we know the heels now are out a little bit from there. And remember, heels are circles. Make them nice and big, especially now that they're coming at you. Should be much bigger than the shoulders, right? They're coming at you. Now, we don't see the toes, but you know if those toes were coming at you, we'd make them look like hamburgers, and they'd be wider than the head by far, by twice, because look how far back that guy is. Well, you're looking at your drawing. So those feet would probably be colossal size when you think about, how far back he is. But we don't know. We're just guessing that. So let's depend more on the hands for that type of illusion at this point. So now I want to find a midpoint. Now you could, normally if he was standing, I would say the belt would be an obvious choice, but because we want to do foreshortening, we want to really get to the point of foreshortening, more important to the belt, and we will get to the belt, but it really has little importance compared to this. We're going to use the top of the knees, where the knees break, the top of the knees, and that'll be our breaking point. So let's see, top of the knees, top of the head there, top of the knees, yeah, you know what? We lucked out, pretty much in the middle. That's always the easiest way, because if it wasn't, okay, so I know I don't have to be exact, but I just say, okay, I say halfway between the head and here, the whole drawing, there, boom, there's where the knees break, right? Now, if the knees had been, if it was a little less on the top, I'd have to move this up at this point. If it's a little more on the top, I'd have to move this line down. But I'm going to put it right in the middle, and that's where the knees are now. And the knees are really important because those are the crux of the foreshortening here. So let's look at this now. And the other rule of foreshortening, once you get going, there's 2 parts of foreshortening. One is size. Hands, feet, knees, whatever it is, someone's charging you with their head, depending on what kind of drawing it is. Someone kicking at you with a foot coming at you. Whatever's closest to you is largest, and don't shy away from making it really large. If you're looking at this guy right now, that knee is twice as big as his head. Don't be afraid of that. But the thing is, draw the things coming towards you first. That way you have less to worry about behind it, right? That's half of foreshortening. The other struggle is, what do we do with the arm that goes to the forearm? What do we do with the thigh? We know how long they are, but what do we do when they're like that? And that's what screws most people up. So just stay with me. Right now we're going to figure that his knees, how far are, oh, that's pretty far out. How would I figure that? Okay, so let's figure knee to body, to body, to where the shoulder is the same as shoulder to shoulder. So basically we have, and I bet it's the same on this side. It's pretty much. So that means from knee to knee, we just need to divide thirds. So that means I already have this here. So if I take that out this distance, that tells me where this knee is. If I take that out again this distance, so you gotta be clever, and we're gonna have to move a little. Shows me where this knee is. And now those knees we measured, twice as big as the head, I'm gonna make a massive knee here. Oops, let me move you. Massive knee, twice as wide as the head, right? We saw that. That knee has gotta look huge. It's gotta look like it's coming at us if we wanna get that illusion. This one too, twice as big as the head. That one's gonna be going off our page even. Boom, we want those knees coming right at us, right? You see that? Okay. So we can actually even go ahead and loosely do the contours. Remember, don't outline. Just find the contours of the pant leg here coming down. We can already go ahead and do that because that part's not going to get moved around too much. Unless, well, you probably don't want to do this because, and that means this whole foot was out here somewhere. And this leg's coming down. So looks like I made a mistake on that ankle. Okay, boom. So go ahead and do the contour lines there. Loosely, loosely. We might have to change it, so don't get too carried away. Okay, now, let's kind of split them down the middle here. Next thing, let's look at those hands. Let's look at those hands. Hands are coming at us next, right? The hands. Okay, so where would you locate those hands? I would say almost like one hand width in from the knee. That's not exactly precise, but close enough. So first thing to do is figure a hand width is about a head width. All right. So again, sometimes you're not exactly close enough. So a hand width is, so that's a hand width. I take one hand width in from the head, and I mean it's right here. Oh, I got to figure how high up it is too. Sorry, that should have gone first. Okay, yeah, this is an important part of foreshortening. Normally, we know how big the arm is, right? We know that from shoulder to wrist, the elbow is halfway. But look at this, not only is it bent, but it's coming towards, it screws everything up. So we flatten it out, and we say, okay, let's go to knee. This is hard. Knee to shoulder, okay. And I'm going to say top of the hand's a little over that, so that'll be our thing, okay. Knee to shoulder, halfway, and a little above that's where the hand is. Hand coming in is one head length from here, so that's where it is. Hand coming in this way, one head length from there, that's where it is. Hands are as big as the head, we said, so about like this, about like that. And that's a good approximation, a little lower, where our hands are, right? Got it? Elbows? Elbows are actually right under it, right? That's where they are. And coming up and down the elbows, just on the inside of the, no, this hand's a little farther out. That elbow's around here, this hand's more like here. Okay. Make your adjustments. Belt around here. Now, here's the last part of foreshortening, and this is the tricky part. Sorry guys, I've been holding this so I can kind of move around while I draw. Okay, hope you're with me. So you see how I found all these things. I found elbow, found shoulder, found hand. Now I went kind of quickly because this is a review of what we already did in class. And I know one of you is depending on this as your whole education. So if this isn't that clear, come and see me during office hours, or we'll have time during class, and I'll make sure you understand it. So now here's the last part, the difficult part. What do we do to those parts that recede, that go back in the distance? And here's a trick I came up with. Do you guys know what slinkies are? Those go downstairs, those, well, here, I'll draw it over here. They were metal when I was a kid. I think they're plastic now. They go up and down stairs, slinky, slinky. Well, whenever you have something going back in the distance, like this thigh or this forearm, instead of trying to shove that whole leg in there, just think about where it ends, think of what the form is, and do the whole body with slinkies. And they're temporary. Try to get the fat, try to get the form with slinkies going back. Same with this side, slinky, slinky. And that's temporary, don't worry about it. So here the forearm, we know the shoulder's here, we know the hand's here, that's a little space. We have a little bit of a slinky there, a little bit of slinky there, right? And then going up here, it's receding a little less of an angle. So you want to get the angle right, the size right, direction right to do your slinkies. Now, why are those slinkies there? Well, your next step is to double, triple, quadruple check your measurements. Never take it for granted. So you go ahead and do that. Your third step, your step after that, is to go find your contours, which I'm not going to do. You go, we've done that enough. Go watch the other videos if you don't know how to do that. You don't outline it, let the creases come together. But here's the part that changes. How do you do, if I hadn't done the slinkies, most of you would do this. You would start doing your contours and you would just treat it like it was straight up and down and you wouldn't know what to do. But now with those temporary slinkies, whatever direction that part is, here's the forearm, here's going up to the shoulder, your creases follow along those slinky lines, you see? And the slinky lines eventually will fade to the back, but your crease lines won't. So you see, even in your pants, you might have creases pulling back that way, but now you're thinking in terms of rounding the leg. You see what I mean? That's what those slinkies do. They give you a base to build your contours going back in real space at a real angle. Does that make sense? After the contour lines, and all these directions, like I said, are up on Schoology. After the contour lines, then you work on your darks and lights, okay? That should get you everywhere you need to go. And, if you're in class, just Contact me through email or Schoology with any questions. If you're just a person looking at this for art lessons, just put something in the comments below. That's all.